world gone insane. An upside-down civilization cannot be real. A world of madness and terror.
It's the Dana Gould Hour.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Oh, and it's a doozy. So let's get the business dispensed with and get on with the Ballyhoo, which is the name of today's episode, celebrating all things of and or pertaining to the carnival, amusement parks, water parks, and various mouse-themed mega parks. Today's show features my old friend Rob Cohen, my new friend Rebecca Lord, and my most tattooed friend, GC Wright. It also features our regular contributors Ken Daly, Matt Weinhold, Eddie Pepitone, and John Ennis. A word about John Ennis. Most of you probably know John through Mr. Show. He is one of the unsung heroes of this show. It is through John that we know our good friend Robbie Sullivan, the co-star of our Political Talk segment. You can see John soon in FX Network's new show Totally Biased with Camus Bell. Matt Weinhold is here. In the dollar bill of comedy, Matt Weinhold is good for 100 cents. You can hear Matt Weinhold do stand-up on his CD, Dead Funny. That's cdbaby.com. And you can check him out at comedyfilmnerds.com. Eddie Pepitone has a CD called A Great Stillness, and that's over there on iTunes. You can also see Eddie live if you're in Northern California at Rooster Tea Feathers in Sunnyvale on May 17th to the 20th, and in New York City at Gotham on May 29th. On May 10th, 11th, and 12th, I was supposed to be in one of my favorite cities, Minneapolis, Minnesota, at one of my favorite clubs, Acme Comedy Club. But I had to reschedule that date. My apologies to people in Minneapolis. I'm filming a pilot. Fingers crossed. I will tell you about it if it goes. However, on June 2nd, I will be in Seattle at the Triple Door. Details and links for all of this information can be found at danagould.com. Which brings me to my final point. You may be wondering, how can I be a bigger part of the Dana Gould Hour family? Try this. Next time you need to go to Amazon.com, go to danagould.com first. Click on the Amazon button beneath our podcast window and shop your heart out. That's all you have to do. You get what you need, we pay a few bills. But now...
The only dead body I've ever seen in my life was in Disneyland. I was actually at the park alone, and I decided to ride Gadget's Go Coaster, the most boring roller coaster.
Gadget's Go Coaster?
Yeah, it's just a child's roller coaster in Toontown. And they were like, oh, you can just stay on it. I was like, should I go back to my sad Super 8 by myself, or should I continue to ride this until the park closes?
Okay, because you went down there and you're staying down there at a Super 8.
Yes, I had broken up with my boyfriend and went to live at Disneyland for a week.
That's very common. People break up with their boyfriend or their girlfriend and they go on a grudge roller coaster binge. Other people drink.
I just said I'm taking myself to Disneyland.
No, I can understand that.
So then I keep riding it, and then I'm like, okay, like this is ridiculous. It's like the park is going to close soon. I'll just go. And as I'm leaving, I just see this dead body. And all these security in their white outfits and white hats. They're like, ma'am, look away. And they're pulling a sheet over him.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
And did he just drop?
I'm assuming heart attack. He looked young, probably like 55, 60.
Wow.
Well, let's just be clear. That's not young. Was he morbidly obese? Because the park is overrun by morbidly obese people in scooters now.
Yes.
They outnumber strollers.
You know, the scooters were designed for the elderly and the infirm, people who needed scooters.
Right.
What happened was somehow in the morbidly obese community, the word got out that you can get these things. And because of the Americans with Disabilities Act, you are not allowed to ask someone if they are disabled. So they just get them. And if you go to Disney World specifically, it is full of people who are as wide as they are tall. On these things. And the people that really, that are disabled have to wait because they're all in use. And I am convinced that that was the inspiration for the people on the spaceship floating in the Barca-loungers in WALL-E.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they'll run right into you at Disneyland and then look at you like you're the asshole.
Now, would you describe your childhood as a great time or a crap-o time?
I grew up very poor. I was a horrible child. I got to go to Disneyland twice as a child, and then worked, like, second I graduated high school, worked for like 5 years straight, quit my job, and got an annual pass.
Really?
Yeah. And
And
now
what-
I'm just a crazy person for Disneyland.
That's great. And you grew up here?
Grew up in Boston, grew up in Brookline, moved all the way to Berkeley, California, and then got to be a rebellious teenager there.
You did get to go to Disneyland.
I went twice. I went when I was 9, and I went when I was 13. And
That's
both
pretty
those
good.
times...
From Boston?
Both from California.
Both from California. I was going to say Crimson Travel Service. When you were in Boston and you won a trip to Disneyland on Major Mud or any of the local kid shows, it was always through Crimson Travel Service.
Major Mud?
Major Mud, yeah.
Crimson Travel Service.
What's Major Mud?
Major Mud was a kid show in Boston. My brother was actually on it once. It was a guy, it was supposed to be like a spaceman. He had a space outfit. It was pretty lame.
Crapped his pants.
That's a Major Mud.
Yeah, Major Mud and Made Your Mud.
I've got, wow, I never even went there with all that. I guess,
I automatically go to shit right away.
yeah, I understand. That's, well, you're in good company, but I never went to that because I knew it first person. Yeah, and he would do, and he would host cartoons and stuff like that. And then there was Boomtown. Boomtown was the Western version, but Boomtown also, you can imagine, it's what you call your pants after you shit yourself.
That's exactly where I went.
I'm living in Boomtown, if you know what I mean. I got to get out of
I
here.
had some Major Mud and went to Boomtown.
But you would win a trip to Disneyland, and it was always through the Crimson Travel Service.
Crimson Travel Service
Yeah,
for the menstruating or recently stabbed travelers. Crimson Travel.
Whether you're menstruating in your pants or you've just shit yourself, Major Mud presents Crimson Travel Service. And the third live-action kid show host in Boston was Willie Whistle.
Oh, dear.
Willie
That's
Whistle
the
was
other
a-
end.
Willie Whistle was a clown
I'll say.
that scared the fuck out of me as a kid. We had Bozo. Bozo was fine. Ronald McDonald was fine.
Right.
Willie Whistle, I would run screaming from the room when Willie Whistle came on.
Did he only speak by whistling?
Yes.
Oh, I hate those clowns. Yeah, oh.
And he had hair like Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones. He had like straight blonde hair combed in like a page boy. And it was, oh my God, my parents still make fun of me about how fried I was at Willie Whistle.
Wow.
Did you ever go to Canopy Lake Park?
Sure.
Okay.
Like that was our Disneyland.
Yeah,
it was
that
like,
was-
you go to Canopy Lake Park,
And then you get to see Bozo when he's there.
get to see Bozo, and it was just like a sad water park, and we had a carnival like that came to our town once a year. Real like Something Wicked This Way Comes, like this down market carnival. And my father once worked at a carnival for like 3 months during a phone company strike in the late 50s, years before I was born. And he didn't like it. It was a local thing.
What did he do?
I don't know what he did. I've never spoken to him for that long. My father and I have never talked long enough to have this
He was
conversation.
the official carnival rapist.
Yeah, he was.
The official.
Every one of them needs one.
When you are crowned the official carnival rapist, it is a ceremony not unlike the first Star Wars at the end. It is a long da 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 da. But I remember him calling I said, "Did you like it?" And he was like, "Nah, it's just a bunch of carny rats."
Yeah.
And so to us, people who worked in carnivals were called carny rats.
Yeah.
And the carnival would come. It's a carnival in our hometown. It would come and it would set up at this parking lot. I mean, there were elephants, and there was cool stuff to see if you're in a small town in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But we would just ride our bikes through, going rats, rats, rats.
And they love children.
Oh, they loved us so much. They loved us so much. But to be taken any place, the idea of going to Disneyland, as I said, what we did was our dad would take us to the dump and let us shoot the 22. That was like, woohoo, big doings.
At cans or
Or
rats?
or actual rats. Non-carny rats, we call them. Rats, non-carny.
Ratty rats versus human rats.
Yeah, but now I think back of like these poor guys. It's the 70s. You're in Massachusetts. You work in a carnival, and then you just get these shitty little kids.
Yeah.
Poor as shit, by the way. And
Yeah.
chipped teeth, dirty clothes. Right. Rats, 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 rats. Impotent little jackballs. God, we were horrid.
But it's not like any carnivals are better now. When I went to the LA County Fair, it was like the most depressing thing I'd ever been to.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's just like signs for deep fried Twinkies, and then like just carnies asleep at their.
Yeah. People who work at a carnival. There's a Tom Waitsy romance that does not translate to the actual world. Now, Matthew,
Yes, sir.
you're having a birthday next week,
I am, yes.
and you're going to.
I am going to Disneyland. Disneyland in Anaheim, California.
Right.
There'll probably be a little time spent at California Adventure, but not too much because I live in California, and isn't it all just one big adventure?
But people go to California Adventure because that's where the liquor license is, correct?
I'll be there at 15-minute intervals.
I would think to be really drunk and surrounded by people in oversized papier-mâché rodent heads after a while would be a terrible combination.
On hot tarmac.
It has the smells of California?
Yeah, we go soaring through the Tenderloin. There's a
Right.
nice waft of urine. It's nice, yeah. They bring it to life.
And now Polk Street in San Francisco, California.
What was that splatter?
I was once driving down the street in San Francisco, down Polk Street, which is ironically named, as there are a lot of bars around Polk Street where one can catch a poke. And I saw two guys walking down the street with like a 6-foot mural painting of a big red cock. And I didn't even flinch. And then about 10 minutes later, I was like, I've lived here too long. But they were taking it to that rally to get it. They were trying to get it to be that year's Christmas stamp.
For real?
It was 11 cents a panel, and it would be 133-cent stamp.
So stamps do get miniaturized then. They start off very big. Okay.
If you're going to frame a cock painting, go for wood. Don't go metal. Make it classy.
Keep it organic.
Is it a triptych, or do you just do one?
A triptych?
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, why Disneyland? That was my question.
I love Disneyland because I went there as a really young kid in the 60s. And first of all, I just
Were you
love
tripping?
amusement. I wish I would have been tripping then. I was just tired. You know, I was 6 years old. And I was walking
That's the
everywhere.
way a kid and a young kid trips is they're tired.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the way I trip now.
Yeah.
Like when I'm really tired, I kind of go into a different head.
Yeah, 2.5 hours of walking, you're kind of done. As exciting as it was, but it's not like everything in my life. Now, as an adult, I feel like I can enjoy the kid stuff better because I'm more aware and I know what's going on. And
There are things from childhood that we leave behind that we should keep with us. One thing
We put away childish things?
I do. We put away childish things, and I'm going to take one out. From now on, like my daughter, when I'm tired, I'm going to start crying.
I do. I almost cried in my car today, and that almost felt liberating because tears can really, just be this kind of cleansing, like, oh, okay, I got that out.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where the last 10 years, I almost cry.
Yeah.
And then after that, I go, oh, I almost got something out.
It would be great. Honey, we're late. We have to go to Dave and Karen's. David's going to talk about sports, and I don't care about David's sports.
Would that be a more accessible man, you think? Like
I
an
think
emote
so.
or too accessible?
And a good way to burst into tears, here's a little trick. If you need to burst into tears, start with a cough. I'm going to Karen's.
You ought to get that looked at, says your wife. Jesus Christ, that sounds like bronchitis.
We were at Disneyland, and there was a kid on the Dumbo ride just bawling his eyes out, and it was so funny. And it's because it is called the happiest place on earth. You would think the post-op room at a lobotomy hospital would be the happiest place on earth, but literally like a kid on the Dumbo ride, surrounded by joy and childhood, just. If you're a kid, that ruins your life. You cried at Disneyland. What do you want now?
Yeah.
I just want a baseball glove. Oh, really? Because we took you to the happiest place on earth,
But see-
and you bawled your ass off.
But that kid took it seriously. He's like, someone scooped out the inside of Dumbo and put me in it.
That's right. I'm sitting in Dumbo's guts. It would be great if on the Dumbo ride you got it and it was just elephant entrails.
Just wet and meaty.
Or if you grab the lever to steer him up and down, he screams in pain.
The history of the ivory trade. Like, just
Ivory trade land. Yes, I love that. That's great.
The baby elephants are particularly at risk.
And delicious.
You are participating in extinction.
Little,
You must be this high to do so.
little monkey brain carts.
The odds of us going to Disneyland as a kid We're right
yeah.
up there with the moon.
Me too, brother.
Yeah. And you grew up in...
I grew up in New York, but we did
Right.
get to go to, because I was thinking about this topic, the World's Fair. And I got to tell you, this may be said, it was my best childhood memory. Going to the World's
which
Fair.
year?
60, I think it was 64.
64?
And I was
The one that you still drive past when you landed at JFK?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I still see that globe.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm still like, oh, I really had a great fucking time. And I just loved it. But we never got a sniff at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Not a sniff.
Right. We once got really excited. We got to go buy a fridge. That was like
Yeah,
it was
that's
like
what
a big outing. We were getting
Yeah.
a new refrigerator,
Yeah.
and we all got to go and run around whatever store we get.
Okay, now I don't feel so bad because that's basically what we were about. Very working class.
Yeah.
Like,
But my dad hunted and fished. Like a big thing would be to go watch them stock the lake, which is you're a kid and you watch guys pour barrels of fish into a lake, knowing that they will soon all be dead.
Yep. Here's your temporary non-murder place.
And my favorite thing about fishing was they used to say, it doesn't hurt the fish.
that's still people still say this
And what
shit.
and what fish told you that?
Yeah.
This is good. You know, they say the thing is the hook in the jaw, and they say the thing.
Then when you beat me with the club,
Yeah.
and I suffocate on your boat.
That's a quote from Natalie Wood's last diary entry.
Well, a
Too
lot of
soon.
peop-
Too soon.
We also had in Brooklyn, Coney Island.
Coney Island, the world's greatest fun frolic, with its beach miles long, all peppered with people. The place where merriment is king. Get Coney Island. You can't go home without a permanent souvenir. Get Coney Island, world's biggest barrel of fun.
I was about to
And-
say Coney Island. Yeah.
And to me, that was scary. Have you been on the Cyclone in Coney Island?
No, I've never
I
been
don't
to
like
Coney
roller
Island.
coasters, by the way. I think it's just the trauma. I think it was from the Cyclone. It's a wooden roller coaster.
Perfect combination.
Of speed and old wood.
Yeah.
And
Speed and Ricky.
I wasn't a brave kid, you know. I took in a lot of fear. I absorbed a lot of fear.
You were like
and it
me.
Stayed.
I think. Like, I came of age an emotional tampon in a cauldron of dysfunction.
Yes.
How many of you ladies are horny?
The Natalie Wood story, part 2.
But I still don't understand my friends who are like, let's fucking go on. Even, you know, now I always had to explain myself to my teenage friends, like, let's go on the roller coaster, man. It's going to be really cool. And I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
What's the matter, you pussy?
Yeah.
Don't call me a pussy.
scared
I'll
me too.
cough and start crying in a second.
Yeah, it terrified me.
If only you had the presence of mind to go, because it frightens me.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the answer to that is simple, Ted. Yeah. It frightens me.
We'll meet you later.
And it's a voluntary activity that I can avoid.
That would tilt the teenage boy, though. Like, what? What did you just say to me?
Exactly. I'm
Don't
having
you
some,
ever say that to me?
Yeah. I'm experiencing fear. If you're just like a teenage boy with a lot of very sophisticated therapy speak.
A teenage Dr. Wayne Dwyer.
Yeah. I'm experiencing a lot of fear right now, and I'm going to be in my fear, but I'm not going to be in my fear in a roller coaster.
God, they would stop calling on you. And
Right. So a roller coaster is like a fear turducken. You know?
Yeah.
Like, who was the first guy to test those crazy roller coasters? And there are like cults of people that just travel the country doing different roller coasters. They get married on roller coasters.
They get married.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Because marriage is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
They're like totally into metaphor.
Yeah. We met on the Zombie. We had our first holding hands on the Pharaoh's Curse. And then at the Hurricane, I let him feel me.
There was this boardwalk that had a bunch of rides in Santa Cruz that we used to go to all the time, and they had this big roller coaster called the Big Dipper, and it was a big rickety wooden one. And I was terrified of it, but there was another one that was more of a rail thing, so I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll go on that, but I was still terrified, and I had a dickhead friend that was like, no, it'll be fun, it'll be good. And so we're waiting in line, and my friend, just for no reason, he was an asshole, he picks out this girl in line who's a little bit overweight, and he just leans over to her and he goes, you know what? You're gonna die. But
Oh, my God. How old was your friend at the time?
Oh, it got to be like 11 years old. And
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You forget how mean kids can be.
Well, yeah. And that's when you learn, like, you know what? Now I'm not afraid of roller coasters. I'm afraid of people.
Yeah.
I understand now. You're what I'm supposed to be afraid of.
There's a very famous story of Robert Kennedy, Jack Kennedy's brother, former Attorney General of the United States.
Know him well.
It was at a party in about 1965 or 6, and it was really one of his first sort of out of mourning, I'm going to try to be a person again and just be in culture. And he was in New York.
This wasn't at the Ambassador Hotel.
No.
was it?
This is in New York.
Oh, okay.
And he's out at a party, and everybody's like, sort of the elephant in the room, just everybody being cool, and Robert Kennedy's here. And like a 9-year-old kid walked up to him in front of everybody at the party and said, "My daddy says your brother's dead."
Oh, no. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's when you go for a drink. Like, excuse me, you know that move at a party? I'm going to just...
The story is creepy because everybody gasped, and then the kid immediately freaked out and started crying because he could tell it. And then Robert Kennedy, being Robert Kennedy, just comforted the kid and made the kid feel better.
I made a mouth poo-poo.
It'd be funny if Robert Kennedy said to the kid, "Look, you're right, but I'm going to tell you one thing. We're bringing down Hoffa, and we're bringing down all those motherfuckers."
My brother might be dead. Well, guess what, young man? You too will be dead soon. Time is inexorable. You will one day wake up old, and you will one day realize that you have more summers behind you than in front of you. I have to go. Sit down. I'm only 9. Life is short, cruel, and brutal. And you are sitting in the front row.
I just picture a kid suddenly being injected by a needle and waking up in Area 51.
And then you find yourself glued into an alien mask and you're on a dissection table.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a pain.
My vocal cords are severed. I can't yell stop.
Marilyn Monroe's above you singing Happy Birthday for some reason.
On a loop.
Why do I have gills?
Yeah, exactly. You try to say, "Help, I'm an American citizen," and it just comes out, "I am from Mars. Please cut my heart out."
I'm from here. I grew up in Huntington Beach, and we've always gone to Disneyland. As an adult, I have a pass, and I go maybe 6 or 7 times a year, which I think for crazy people with passes is not a lot of times. But because of my job, you know, I just can't get away as much. But I get about 3 or 4 months off every year.
You are a receptacle technician at a bull semen research lab. Is that correct?
Right. And you know that's seasonal work.
Uh-huh.
Well,
You work
course,
with Charlie Sheen.
I do. And his testicles are only producing semen really during the fall and winter months. So, ironically, I have spring off. Have you ever heard of something like that?
Well, what happens in spring is he stands out back naked and hummingbirds come and replenish him. So you go 6, 7 times a year. Do you achieve the emotional place that you hope to achieve when you go?
Yeah, well, because here's my backstory on it.
By
Growing
emotional, I mean pants.
Yes. Well, you know, in fact, one of my big emotional stories is as a kid, I was probably 6 or 7. I have a photo taken of me at Disneyland with Brer Fox. And
For those of you who don't know, that's Red's wife.
From everybody's favorite racially overtoned film, Song of the South.
Right, which you can't even see anymore.
You can't. I bought a copy on DVD from Japan or something on eBay, and then I gave it to a friend, and now I don't have it anymore.
Right.
But there is a whole ride based on it now.
Isn't that Splash Mountain?
Yeah.
It tells the story of Brer Rabbit's adventures with Brer Fox and Brer Bear, but without telling it.
Yeah, there is some weird death imagery. And
the tar baby. And
yeah.
Good Lord. What year was it made?
That was made in the 50s,
54 or something, yeah.
When it was like,
It's not.
And it's live-action animation mix.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the movie itself is very slow and kind of boring, but it's not really that crazy. I mean,
hateful.
It's not a hateful film.
The characters.
No, it's just the old way of
yeah, no, and I think,
stereotypes.
and there must have been just like an interesting meeting at Disney when they're like, should we release that on DVD? I don't know, let's run it. Holy shit, we can't let this out.
So I had this picture of me about 6 years old with Brer Fox, and it's such a miserable childhood. This picture looks so happy, and I'm having such a great time, that I then spend my adult life trying to find Brer Fox at Disneyland so that I can recreate this photo as a happy adult with me and Brer Fox. And Brer Fox, of course, they weren't letting him out. You couldn't find Brer Fox at Disneyland for years. He is now out and about. You see him every now and again. And 2 years ago, I finally was able to track him down and take a new picture with him.
Wow.
But here's me. This is because I'm this crazy. I'm standing there with my arm around the guy in the Brer Fox outfit, and I'm telling him this story.
Uh-huh.
As though it's the guy in the Brer Fox outfit from
before.
1972.
And all the guy's thinking is, this guy doesn't know it, but I have diarrhea.
That's it. It's very uncomfortable.
I got to get out of here, man. It's going to take me 5 minutes to get out of the suit and 7 minutes to get to the toilet.
Was he reacting in any way? Because they can't talk.
They can't talk.
No, he really
Does he
just
go
kinda,
like makes us a crying gesture?
I'll be real honest. He kind of phoned it in. I'll show you the photo and you'll see.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like his eyes are looking off in a different direction.
I just imagine walking around that park and that head
Yeah.
is just like purgatory.
Yeah. Hideous.
They have fans and stuff in it now to.
They have fans in the heads?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
I have a friend who used to work at Disney World, and she had to wear the poo honeypot on her head.
Uh-huh.
And it was causing spinal problems.
Yeah.
So then they started replacing all the mascot heads, and then they started putting air conditioning into the costumes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because Winnie the Pooh now doesn't have the honey pot on his head anymore.
Because of the
Lots of spinal problems. Yeah.
How many people?
An entire generation of crippled people.
Right.
We're all former Winnie the Poohs.
Listen, it's show business, man. Nobody said it was going to be easy.
If you go into a hospital ward where it's just a bunch of paraplegics and they're all just muttering, "Oh, bother." That's what that's from.
That was a very good Sterling Holloway.
We're going to change. We're going to change your colostomy bag now, sir. Oh, bother.
Well, as a kid, my parents divorced when I was very young, and single mom, and we didn't have much money. But my mom had this friend who she'd taken art classes with.
Nice.
Nice old guy named Harry.
Oh,
and Harry,
this gets worse and worse.
No, it's actually all the stories I have to tell about my mother and my childhood are hideous, except this one. And this was this nice guy who worked at Disneyland. He worked he was an engineer at the park. He worked underground, but he would get us in for free. So it became a place that my mom could take my brother and I very inexpensively. So we would go 3 or 4 times every year for our birthdays, for my mom's birthday. And then because I was in Huntington Beach, at school we used to go almost every year. The gag was that you had to sit through Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln.
See, I am now at the point I've gone all the way around the horseshoe. I like the more down market.
Yeah. The dark ride ones.
Yeah, we used to go to Canopy Lake Park in Massachusetts, which was literally, it was like work release and people about to get arrested.
Yeah, we had Playland, and Playland was like you'd go there in the daytime or on the weekends, and most of the rides were always closed, but they had a real great old-timey fun house, and they had the monster ride, and that was always open. And then at night, people would come in to kill each other.
For real?
That's where crime happened.
For real?
Yeah. What? It was like during, the turbulent 60s when, the minute the sun went down, all shit broke loose and
Get out of Playland.
Yeah, and then it becomes a different type of play.
Yeah, there's a lot of murder.
Warriors come out.
There's a lot of murder scenes in movies in amusement parks. A great one, Orson Welles.
The Third Man.
No, Lady from Shanghai.
Lady from Shanghai. The Third Man. I'll cut that out and sound like a genius. Let me give you the line I'll put right in. I think you mean the lady from Shanghai.
And someone listening going, that sounded like that was put in. Did you notice the intonation?
And Batman is always fighting somebody in the band. Well, laughter and screaming are very close physiological reactions. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. In the history of a band amusement park, the owner of them has never once dressed up as a monster to protect the treasure that was buried there. I base so much of my expectancy on reality on old Scooby-Doo's.
Yes.
I really did think that 9/11 was caused by Old Man Jenkins from the abandoned water park.
Who had a straw hat that was attached to a flimsy rubber mask that, when yanked upright, would reveal his true self.
Why don't they attach masks to hats more often?
It would have been crazy
I'm
if they cut to Osama bin Laden and he's speaking, and then the subtitles are, and I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those pesky kids.
By the way, the greatest time I had besides the World's Fair was in Cape Cod, and that was what we got to do.
What'd you do on Cape Cod?
We had summer vacations.
Where? What city?
We went all over. I remember going to Sandwich.
Sure.
Where the glass was blown.
I used to live in Centerville.
Oh, yeah, Centerville. Well, we used to go to a place, I forget which burg it was in Cape Cod, but they had a place called Tumblytown.
Yes, I know
and
Tumblytown
dude,
very
you're
well.
kidding.
Yeah.
Now, I got to tell you.
It's tragic. It's for people with severe inner ear dysfunctions. It's a rehab facility.
I fucking loved it. I mean, that shows you how sad it was. Like, I just got on trampolines with my sister, and it was it was idyllic.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I was always like going, that trip, I remember, can we go to Tumblytown? Can we go to Tumblytown? Can we go to Tumblytown? I don't know how old I was about. I was about 35.
We had a place like that called Happy Valley that never said what it was, and when you got there, it wasn't.
I'll tell you who else has a place called Happy Valley? Adrian Barbeau.
The Love Boat.
Adrian Barbeau.
I can't top that. Keep going.
No, please tell us.
It was literally.
Now, where was Happy Valley?
It was outside of Calgary, where I'm from. and
Okay,
it was
so you're not American.
No, I am not paying. taxes on this.
Security.
It's where you got medical care.
Yeah, everyone's so nice here.
Bow to the
Field.
statue of Ken Dryden and tell them why you don't feel well.
I did that before I came here. It was a flat field that a guy bought discount trampolines, which are always safe, and took an entire flat field and just installed them in a row so people would line up to get on discount trampolines that were loosely put in pits and bounce across the field. It was called Happy Valley, and you would routinely
That was Happy Valley?
Yeah, you would
See, that's marketing. That's brilliant
But the genius
marketing.
thing is, I love the $6 Million Man growing up, so I was like, I can be bionic. I can bounce all the way across the field. And you would, while waiting in line, guaranteed every time, you would see a kid bouncing off, and then one of the trampolines would come loose like a tarp, and they would disappear in the pit, and everybody would stop and run over and reattach it, and all the idiots would just keep going and bouncing, and they would just
Does anyone ever get hurt? Or you didn't
all the
see
time?
It? Oh,
yeah.
they would.
Oh,
Is it still there? That's what I
no,
want
it's
to know.
gone.
Well, then it became Limpy Town.
Yeah.
I love Cape Cod.
Yeah.
That was cool.
When my parents lived down there, speaking of the Kennedys, they lived about 6 miles from the Kennedy compound. And I remember his father once saying, well, they brought Rose into church today. I saw Rose. Jesus, she's looking like a pile of peppers. We never got to go anywhere. There was a creepy carnival that used to come to my hometown.
That's what they do. Because there's one in North Hollywood that comes every.
Yeah.
Like, what's that in a park? There's lights and people who don't look well.
Yeah.
And that's always.
That's El Molestos.
I saw an elephant. I live in this little town in Massachusetts, and then one day you're riding your bike around the parking lot. There's a fucking elephant, and I'll never forget. This is honestly true story. Like my brother, like Dana, come here. Dana, come here right now, because they had animals. They had like a petting zoo and stuff, and there was a donkey with its cock down to like the ground, and I'd never seen that before, and it horrified me because my brother was like 13, so for him it was a great thing. Look at that donkey's cock. You know, when you're that age, just seeing something like that, it's the greatest thing ever. I want to go on the moon bounce. No, we're going to look at this donkey. And then
Why isn't Dana
and then we
his
went back
brother
to,
home?
we went back to my mother's like, hey, Dana saw the donkey's cock. And it was like I did a dirty thing. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Dana saw the donkey's cock. No, stop it. Like we were so repressed and Catholic. It was a sin to see an animal's genitals.
It would have been so funny if a detective would have been in your house. Have you seen this cock?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. For God's sake.
I'm going to show you some pictures.
I'm going to show you
We,
some pictures.
Muldoon, Donkey Privacy Squad.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Gould. Mrs. Gould, we found your son near the Fluff the Donkey's Cock booth at the carnival.
You don't see the donkey. It just is through
Giant
a glory hole. Oh, God.
Guess the length.
You must be this high. If you're not the size of the donkey's cock, you can't go on the Himalaya.
Taste what Bam Bam ate.
And then there was a menagerie wagon, and I remember there was like a 2-headed baby skeleton, like a cobra.
Oh, the freak show?
Yeah.
And then it was supposedly like a giant rat from Borneo, and it was like some kind of big thing.
Now with ecological disaster, those freak shows are really hitting their stride.
They don't have to fake
God.
them anymore.
They don't fake them.
Yeah, well, this is not a lie. 3 freak show attractions from the 30s and 40s. Common freak show attractions would be
Bearded woman?
obese woman,
That was a freak show attraction?
300-pound woman, tattooed lady, and
You're right.
and a he-she, like a hermaphrodite.
Are
All
you
those three-
saying that?
a Starbucks on Gower and Cinema? You can see them all there now.
Yeah, but to be fair, the he-she's don't wear the split down the middle clothing.
They should.
Yeah,
true.
that's what they should. They really should.
Yeah. Shims, I call them.
There was, again,
Two-Face.
talking about my lame country of birth.
Canada?
Yes,
Canada?
Canada.
Is that in the national anthem?
If it's in French, it'll get by.
I like Canada, by the way.
Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you. I love it. We had a freak show that was one freak, and it's something that haunted me forever because I was always trying to figure out what the secret was, but get brave enough to figure out the secret. And it was this tent that outside it said, "See the 6-foot man eating chicken?" And it was a dime, and you would go in this tent and go around this maze, and as you were going through the maze, you would get closer to the center of the tent, and they would say, "He is a rarity. He will eat anything." And you're getting more and more freaked out, and every year I would bail before I got to the
is
end.
that what they want? They want people to bail?
Well, they want you to bail.
You wouldn't have to
Yeah, they get your money, and then you
claim
leave.
fraudulence.
So one year I got my nerve up and said, I am going to see the 6-foot man eating chicken. So I just ignore them, and I'm basically covering my ears as they're doing the spiel and get to the center. It's like, this is the greatest moment of my life. I am a man. I'm a genius. And you get into the middle, and it is a 6-foot man eating chicken. And it's just a guy on a chair with
that's
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
funny.
And he's like, hey, how you doing? And then they hustle you out. And I was so mad, I went outside and looked at the sign, and there's a tiny comma that they had on there. And I was like, well, they didn't lie.
But like a freak attraction that's basically the same sort of structure as like a Spencer's gift kind of like novelty gag,
Yeah.
you know?
It's just a whole line of attractions developed by a guy who's a wordsmith.
I'm a punctuation nut.
A punctuation nut.
Peter Benchley's World of Attractions.
Punctuation abomination.
Yeah, I was trying to find this thing about the Lobster Boy.
Yeah.
Was it-
I've heard of him.
yeah, well, I guess he killed his wife. I should have
Yeah, he
done
was
some
not a
research.
good
not
guy.
not a good lobster
Not a good
boy.
lobster boy.
What happened? What was his deal? His hands were claw-like? or
Yeah, well,
something?
that's,
thalidomide.
The interesting thing is, like, everybody always talks about the good old days, like, oh, so much better earlier, so much
Yeah.
better earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, back then, like, if you were born with a birth defect, your only hope of making money was to get yourself into a tent of some sort
Yeah.
and shine a light on you and go, look how fucked up I am, everybody.
Yeah. I hope I can go someday from a cage to a tent.
Yeah, one day I'm going to get out of this cage and they're going to put me in a pit.
Where can strangers throw rocks at me?
What was the story you were telling me about the bucket of bolts?
Oh, the bag of bolts auction?
Yeah.
The bag of bolts auction is every year we would have a weird carnival come to town. There's the Calgary Stampede, which is this big show, great show. The Midway was run by a company called Conklin Shows. And the two things that everybody knew about Conklin Shows is that they hired ex-cons and that they put up the worst possible rides. So every year, horrible. So every year before the Stampede came, there was an uproar in town where it's like, Conklin Shows, we're not going to have Conklin Shows come to our town. Everybody's in danger. But sure enough, Conklin Shows would come, put the rides up. People would go to the Stampede and have a good time. At the end of the Stampede, Conklin Shows, as a part of thanking the community, would have a thing called the Bag of Bolts auction. And what it was a giant burlap sack that was literally full of bolts and parts and other elements of the rides. And what they would do is auction off the bag saying, these are the pieces we didn't know where to put on the rides you just rode on for 10 days. People around town would actively bid to win the bag of bolts. And then when they remembered what the bag of bolts was, they would start the danger thing again, and it would last for a few months, and then it would go away, and then the Stampede would come back.
Wow.
And to this day, Conklin Shows is still doing this, where they're selling the pieces of the rides.
Where would the money go that was auctioned off?
To Conklin Shows.
Oh, it would?
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
a fun thing to win the bag of bolts.
Okay. Yeah, funny.
Yeah, missing part on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Buy what could have killed you.
Step right this way, folks. The show is about to begin. Right this way. Here we are. This creature, is he the missing link? Is he man or beast? Some have pronounced him man.
What is this creature, you ask?
The Geek.
Yes, the Geek. The Geek. Shameful blemish on the history of the American sideshow, or proud example of just how far a performer will go to please an audience. Isn't geekery, at long last, nothing if not the ultimate frontier of showmanship? And maybe even, yeah, I'll say it, pizzazz. Popular in the late 19th and the early 20th centuries, traveling sideshows exhibited a geek, often presented as a scientific discovery. See the wild man of Borneo. The scientific presentation would be a guy in a fright wig and a wild man costume running around in a pit, And for the big finale, he would bite the head off a live chicken. Something like that. One thing is for sure. The Geek Pit is pretty widely considered to be the bottom rung of the showbiz ladder.
How do you get a guy to be a geek? Is that the only one? I mean, is a guy born that way?
That's always a sore point in a carnival.
Why?
Geek is one of our biggest draws, but a lot of performers won't work a show that carries one.
And nowhere does the threat of geekdom lie heavier than in Nightmare Alley. Nightmare Alley, based on the novel by William Lindsay Gresham. This 1947 noirist of noirs tells the story of Stanton Carlyle, a two-bit grifter who hooks up with a traveling carnival, develops a bogus mind-reading act, and parlays that into a big money racket, hustling rubes as a faith healer of sorts, convincing local swells and fat cats that, through sleight of hand and simple carny tricks, he has a direct line to God himself. The higher he climbs, the more he thinks back to his start in the carnival, and the awful reminder of just how low a man can go. You would have to have never seen a film before in your life to not figure out where old Stanton Carlyle ends up before the credits roll. What is amazing about the film is it stars Tyrone Power, 20th Century Fox's biggest star at the time, which explains how it got made at all. But the studio hated it. Try to imagine Tom Hanks or Brad Pitt releasing a film today that concluded with them running bare-chested around a pit, shouting ooga booga and baring their teeth at a couple of doomed chickens. The book Nightmare Alley, upon which the film was based, starts with a bang as the character of Hoatley finally pulls young Stanton Carlyle aside and answers his pesky question.
How do you get a guy to be a geek?
Look, you pick up a guy and he ain't a geek. He's a drunk. A bottle-a-day booze fool. But you tell him, I got a little job for you. It's a temporary job. We gotta get a new geek. So until we do, you'll put on the geek outfit and fake it. You tell him you don't have to do nothing. You have a razor blade in your hand, and when you pick up the chicken, you give it a nick with the blade, and then you make like you're drinking the blood. Same with the rats. The marks in the crowd, they don't know no different. Well, he does this for a week, and you see to it that he gets his bottle regular and a place to sleep it off. This is what he thinks is heaven. So after a week, you say to him like this. You say all of a sudden, well, I gotta get me a real geek. You're through. Now he scares up. Because nothing scares a real rummy like the chance of a dry spell and getting the horrors. He says, what's the matter? Ain't I doing okay? So you say, like crap, you're doing okay. You can't draw no crowd faking a geek. Turn in your outfit. You're through. Then you walk away. Oh, he comes following you, begging for another chance, and you say, okay. But after tonight, out you go. But you give him his bottle. That night, you drag out the lecture and you lay it on thick. And all the while you're talking, he's thinking about sobering up and getting the crawling shakes. Well, you give him time to think it over. And then, while you're talking, you throw in the chicken. He'll geek.
It's the geek. He's got the heebie-jeebies again.
Yeah, Hoatley didn't give him his bottle today.
Why?
Says he'd been laying down on the job.
Well, Disneyland is run with ruthless efficiency. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't screw around too much before they're on you. Everybody is overstimulated.
Yeah.
Everybody's expectations are huge that they're going to have a great day. And, I mean, that's why you see kids melt down, because they just can't take it. And they just lose it.
We
It's
saw a
like-
guy, we were on the tram leaving the park, and there was just some guy who, like, I guess he just got out of prison or something like that, but he was fully tatted and just swearing. He's with his daughter.
Conklin?
He's got to be a Conklin.
And he was swearing?
He was swearing. He's saying all this stuff. And
Around
then
kids,
yeah,
huh?
and there's a guy with a kid, and he leans over to the guy and goes, I'm sorry, could you please stop swearing? Because my kids are here, and there's kids everywhere.
What'd he say?
This guy just, his eyes widen. He starts slapping his own face.
Whoa!
In front of the guy.
Whoa. My shrink does that when I talk to him.
You should pay him more to stop that.
Yeah, my view was just continue hitting yourself. As long as you hit yourself.
Is that what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Well, as soon as the tram stops, we get off. We whisper into the guy's ears, "You should get to your car really fast."
The guy who told the guy.
The guy with the kid who said something. And then the other guy, his daughter is now crying. The guy who was slapping himself is going, "Please, Daddy, don't do this. Don't do it. Please don't do it again. Don't do it again."
He has a kid, this guy?
Yeah.
See, that's
really
what
bad.
I maintain there should be some kind of test before you have kids.
Or just no kids allowed at amusement parks.
Yeah, last time we were at... That's a better one.
Yeah, I'm with you, yes.
That is funny.
The last time we were at Disneyland, we saw some guy just speaking to his children really, really wrong.
Is it a
Terrible.
cauldron of dysfunction?
It's not. I mean, you really see these things rarely. And, of course, my wife immediately...
Did she go right?
You should not be speaking to him like that. I'm going to get somebody.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God. Does your wife do that? Yeah.
Yeah. She's not.
She's
gonna-
got courage and dignity. I
Yeah,
don't have that.
I know. That's why.
I'm always like, come on, let's go.
That's what That's why opposite attracts. My wife
same thing.
has courage and dignity, and I'm a worm in clothes.
Did the guy respond to that?
No, I think then somebody, because it was really out of line, and I think somebody came out and said, "You can't talk like that." And then immediately they blamed the children. See what now? We're getting yelled at by a mouse.
The worst thing I've seen at Disneyland. Do you remember Do Run Run or whatever that band was?
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrowland or
Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Tomorrowland.
They used to have like a doo-wop band, super clean
Sure.
doo-wop band that would come out of the floor. So there was a guy there who was waiting for the band, and he was super excited, and he had his snacks in his hand, and he was basically like vibrating. I was like, "There's no way this guy is that excited for some bad."
Was he
cover
tweaking?
band. No, this was in the 80s, and he was just sitting there vibrating. And as I sort of walked around to look at his face, there was vomit just caked on his face, and he was having an episode.
Oh, he was having a seizure.
Yeah, he was having an epileptic thing, and he was like electrocuted on his popcorn. I just thought, this guy really loves to do Run Run. And he was just standing there freaking out. And nobody at Disneyland, they thought it was normal behavior, that there was this excitement and just like a lava flow of vomit on his face.
That doesn't mean to say that he wasn't still also excited about it.
Nothing against the band. They played there for decades.
They do a solid set.
The only person that helped him was a guy in a goofy suit, and all they said was "Garsh."
The Disneyland doctors are like, he's just excited about Tomorrowland.
Here's another weird, fucked up thing that I bet you've gone to.
Yeah.
The Tattoo Expo.
You think I've gone because I have, for the radio audience, I have a lot of tattoos. My back is covered in tattoos.
I didn't know that. I've only seen your lower legs.
Yeah, my entire back is covered, and my legs are covered up to my kneecaps. But I've never once been to a tattoo convention.
Until now. And what is on your back?
My first tattoo is on my back. Up on my shoulder blades, I've got Sabrina the Teenage Witch riding a broom.
Terrific.
In a bikini.
Sure.
Shooting up, and then
course
on the
shooting up.
Well, shooting up towards my neck, out of the broom.
Well, no, I thought you was like in a bikini on a broom shooting up.
Shooting up. That can be done. All I have to do is make a call.
I have the greatest friends on earth.
And then I've got on the other shoulder blade, I have Alexandria from Josie and the Pussycats on a broom, flying in the other direction, and she has
And
Sebastian
in the middle,
the cat.
Simon Wiesenthal.
She has Sebastian the cat, our little cat from Josie and the Pussycats.
I'm aware.
And he's got his tail. His tail is wrapped around the end of the broom, and he's shooting out like he's just holding on for dear life by his tail. And then they're flying up, and in the middle is a winking moon from the Alice in Wonderland book.
Also very similar to the Georges Méliès Trip to the Moon.
Oui. And then below them, taking up the rest of my back, is a tattoo of a painting by one of my favorite artists, Isabel Samaras.
That's impressive. And what makes you decide, yeah, I'll have this on my back forever?
I don't know. I just liked them.
Yeah.
I still do. I like all of them.
Oh, no, I'm the biggest pussy you'll ever meet. I don't have tattoos. I don't like the Twilight Zone ride. Mm-hmm. I'm just a complete sissy.
No, the Twilight Zone ride is fantastic.
See,
just not even the ride itself, but just the line.
The line is fun. I do like the line.
Let me tell you
Oh, boy.
how much I hated it.
Just don't go in the elevator.
Oh, everything outside the elevator is great. I would live there if it wasn't for the giant free fall. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. The giant repeated
multiple
free
fall and freeze.
Oh
But see, this
God!
is where
Outside of that, I could live in that place.
We disagree because you love the ride. I don't like the ride. You don't like the ride. But we dislike the ride for different reasons. You think it's too hideous, and I don't think it's scary enough.
Ugh.
I don't think it drops far enough.
When I was in Japan, I've gone twice now to Japan. Both times I went to a theme park called Ultraman Land. Ooh. And Ultraman is this Japanese superhero character that fights giant monsters that was invented in the 60s.
Really? I've never heard of that. Ladies, note, that was Dana. And the reason, we should just say in full disclosure,
sure,
the reason that you do go to Japan so much is that you are one of America's leading human traffickers.
True. Look, there's a certain type of porn that people need. And
I've been barred from watching that. But go ahead. That's neither here nor there.
But you're also checking up on your used panty vending machines, right?
Yeah. Well, right. I almost got the whole set. But just a couple more trips.
Is that real?
That is absolutely real.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Have you been to Japan too?
I've never gone. I just always dreamed of a used panty vending machine.
But they have
them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're all from your uncle. I hit the Dinty Moore a little hard last week.
Your grandmother went over a bump too hard.
I am nuts about fish kebabs. Just warning you. Before you put your token in the machine.
Then the really used panties.
Yeah. These were a small before I put them on.
I left that lunch meat around a day too late, and I thought instead of throwing it away,
I used it to filter my coffee at the job site.
I just picture a woman just sitting in a chair with some panties going, it's a living.
But
they put them on for a minute and take them off. And
they
then
do. That's the absolute truth. Is they have assembly lines of girls that literally put them on for a second, take them off, and they have
then
vending
business
machines.
people buy them and sniff them.
Yes,
is that correct?
Look, I don't know what they do. I just want
no.
the sale.
I think they sniff them.
I think
a guy on Jeopardy. What is sniff them, Alex?
Yes, I think they boil them and make soup stock.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. So before we go to Ultraman Land, and that's
Sure.
the other crazy thing, and it's just, I'm not going to defend the base culture of this country, but there is an anime in Japan. It's small elfin women and octopi.
Yeah.
The 3-inch elf girls with the giant pointy ears.
They
and
have that?
Oh, and butterfly wings.
Oh, is it animated?
And they're
stuff?
all having sex with like octopus tentacles.
Yeah, because they can't show a penis, so they used like plant tentacles.
Is this
instead.
anime?
Usually.
Okay.
Sometimes they do it live action if you get a good costumer. You can pull it off.
Christ.
And
I mean, I love calamari like the next guy, but
You know,
Not like La Blue Girl.
Erotic and delicious. They've worked out some sort of arrangement, and it works for both of them. So who are we to judge as a culture?
No, you got to let the steam out of the tea kettle or the whole kitchen blows. Yeah. Anime, they never stop making it. No, I don't know what that is, because we were talking about Gamera. Gamera is, of course, the giant flying turtle that has fire come out of its turtle holes and is the friend of all children.
I remember Gamera. Yeah.
You drop an atomic weapon on a culture, and it F's them up over the course of time.
Yeah. That's the good guy.
Gamera's the good guy.
Gamera's the good guy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and I'm a big fan of all this stuff. I mean, there's
You are, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Elfin hentai porn or...
All of it.
Okay.
What do you got?
Bring it.
Used panties.
Show me something new.
But why are the Japanese so tweaked like that?
I think there's a lot of things that are all happening. Yeah, again, you get nuclear annihilation.
Is it religious repression? Like
I get cultural.
Yeah,
I think,
I get why, like in Britain, it's full of like S&M dungeons because it's such a classist and
learned so much here.
society. Oh, not anymore.
They have a lot of S&M
Not
dungeons?
anymore. I don't know what it's like now, but like in the 40s and the 50s, like
What's
that,
a lot?
All Victorian erotica
Right.
is all about sort of
Right.
Story of O and all that stuff, and it speaks of the class system and repression and all that
Right.
stuff. Like I understand that's a natural.
Yeah. All my
way
porn
that
is
evolves.
economically based.
Yes.
That's how I.
I'm a big reader, so most of my porn
what's
is
free?
Dewey Decimal System related.
Yours is all about refis.
Oh, refinancing.
I
don't have time to say refinance.
I know.
I'm on the go.
For those of you who don't know, I have 3 children, 4 dogs, 2 guinea pigs, and a fish. And all my porn is a guy surrounded by women, and no one's asking him to do anything. Look at him just sitting there. He's minute 5, he's still reading the same newspaper. It's like, oh, God, he gets in 2 articles. He hasn't had to get up once.
He gets to watch that whole show at once.
Exactly. Tell me about Ultraman Land.
So Ultraman Land is this place. It's not a very big or good theme park, but it is the licensed Ultraman theme park.
And Ultraman
is this giant silver superhero guy. Looks almost like a robot with glowing eyes.
Silver Surfer-ish?
Yes, very much so.
And he was on TV in the late 60s.
Yeah.
And I remember the show.
In Japan, they've been making him, though, ever since then, now to this day. So it's been running forever.
So you're in Ultraman Land.
Ultraman Land, basically, they have a little ride, and they have some exhibits, and they have a lot of the original props from the show. But the main reason why you go is that they have this show. And the show is they got a couple guys dressed up like the various incarnations of Ultraman. A bunch of guys dressed up in monster costumes, and they're great costumes, by the way.
Oh, yeah, good
and
costumes.
Would I be exaggerating to say it was like a Gwar-level production?
Yes, very much.
Wow.
And the show starts, and basically it's a half hour of them kicking the shit out of each other.
Is the fighting good, or is
The
it
fighting is awesome.
Oh,
They're
it
doing
is.
full-on flying kicks into each other. And so I'm there, and I'm like a celebrity because it is a audience full of kids and me.
Is that right?
Yes. And at one point, Ultraman
The mighty
falls-
round eye is
yeah,
here.
and they're all looking at me, and so Ultraman comes out off stage at one point into the crowd because he's been injured and he's almost dying. And
But he has enough energy to play Stump the Band.
Yeah.
I had dinner for 2 at the Daly Grill in Van Nuys.
Remember this ditty?
Nightmare by Artie Shaw. Play it, Doc.
But he came right for me, though. I think
He
it was
did?
pretty obvious that he was.
Does he talk to you like from under the mask? Like, fucking help me out here.
Are you from Hollywood? Want to work in Hollywood? Kill me. Please kill me.
That's the thing about Disneyland is you never, ever in all of my time, I've never like been up next to Mickey or Goofy because I always go like, you must be really hot in that thing. And
You do that?
You never ever hear. They're
fired,
trained
right?
not to.
Yeah,
they can't.
Yeah. Well, I do know that a lot of people you see at Disneyland actually are working.
Undercover?
Yeah.
Folks?
Like somebody was telling me like,
I don't like that.
Well, no, here's the reason. The longest like a kid has ever been lost is like 20 minutes. Because on a crowded day, it's like 1 out of every 7 people is plainclothes security. And it's just like, Heather, 7 years old, pink sweatshirt, around Tomorrowland. Boom! And
So it's a good thing.
They also do that with litter. A guy we know that used to be in the band, and he said that sometimes they will have people undercover go and take a colored piece of paper and drop it on the ground, and then they monitor to see how quickly people can swoop in and
Quality
get
control.
Yeah, exactly.
They're testing employees.
Yeah.
It would be
That's a
funny if
guy's
they
job.
did answer you, but it was like in character. It's like Goofy comes up, like, so what's it like being Goofy?
It's an avalanche of pussy. You would not believe the tale I get.
Like it's a Bukowski response, but
Yeah.
in Goofy's voice.
All I like to do is go to the track. I come here 3 days a week. I work 4 hours. I make my money. I live in a residence hotel. And it keeps me comfortable. I like crystal meth at a beach. And I like heroin. And I like betting on the ponies.
Want a photo?
You know what makes me horny? The thought that God is dead and we're alone. Oh, I gotta go rub one off in the men's crapper right now.
And then put the costume on.
The existentialist Goofy will be right back after this message.
The existentialist Goofy. Oh, God. I wish there was a God, right, though. I'll tell you that.
That's right, Goofy. In fact, the terrifying thing is not the absence of heaven, but the absence of hell. Muhammad Atta, Adolf Hitler, all of those people go unpunished. Life is short, cruel, and brutal. Who wants cotton candy?
I don't. I'd like to rub one off on Cheryl Ladd's shoulder blades. Many of you don't remember her. How come wine doesn't get me drunk anymore? I don't know what it is, but nothing makes me hard like the thought of Megan Fox without any skin.
Just kids crying all around him, but the adults are riveted.
He's
like,
holed
I think
up.
that too.
He's holed up at the back of the park like Colonel Kurtz. And all the other mascots won't let the Disney security near him. It's like, we've got to get Goofy. And Donald Duck comes running.
You're looking at the heads. You're looking at the heads.
Goofy's gone rogue.
Welcome to Political Talk with two guys from Boston. A working man's look at the socio-political issues of our day. And now, Political Talk with two guys from Boston.
How you doing? I'm Johnny Condon.
Yeah, this is Robbie Sullivan.
This is Political Talk with two guys from Boston. We work for Bevel Aqua Heating and Air Conditioning Repair.
Yeah, we're cool if you're cool.
Bevel Aqua.
I had a smartphone for a while. I went back to a Samsung.
I don't like a phone that's smarter than I am.
That's what I was going to say.
And I don't like going to the Genius Bar.
Yeah.
I would not want to be at a job where I, A, have to wear a T-shirt on top of whatever shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And then refer to myself as a genius. That's the cruelty of Steve Jobs' universe. I'm going to call you a genius, and now you're going to have to wear a T-shirt over whatever shirt you wore in today.
And when you come to the jogathon, you got to wear that T-shirt just by itself.
Ugh.
It's not good.
I hate having to work anywhere where I wear an outfit. If I was a brain surgeon, I'd still insist on my own clothes.
Yeah, when waiting tables years ago, I remember thinking, like, am I really going to put this on again?
Yeah.
Like, I could go and do the job.
An apron.
But putting on the clothing for the job, and it was like you had 3 white shirts, and you would wash them, make sure you always had one ready. And then there was that day when you didn't, and you'd be like taking a napkin, wetting it, and getting rid of the stains from the day before. That took me out. I can't put that shit on again. It's going to heat up fast, and it's going to get ugly.
Now, when you were a waiter, did you ever have to wait on somebody that you hated and that you knew you hated and they knew you hated them?
Yes, that's not as hard as waiting on someone you love and you can't believe they're seeing you there.
That's even worse.
That's way worse. Or someone you just knew really well, and at some point you bragged to them about your high expectations of what you were going to do.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh, the Cobb salad has this, and this in it. And at the end of it, you're just like, what the Cobb salad doesn't have is a waiter who cares what's in it. And then it's also like you're so hung up with the fact that she's there that you forget all their soup.
You forget this soup.
So you bring in the main course, and they're all looking at you like you killed a dog.
Exactly. You had the Cobb salad, you had the beet salad, and I had a chance of dignity that went out the goddamn window the minute you walked into this shithole.
Oh, it's gone. I can't do anything. And the rest of the night, all you think is like, how did I forget their soup? All I could do was think about them the whole time.
Ugh, I wonder how many waiters have just been, let me get your order. Go in the kitchen. Boom.
It's done.
Central nervous system disconnect.
I have walked right out of a shift. Saw who was in my station, feigned diarrhea, and just left.
Feigning diarrhea is absolutely surefire.
It's the last card in the deck.
Yeah.
I went through all the possibilities of what I could say, what I could do. There's no saying you want to keep me on the shift when I tell you that.
Yeah. I have a problem. It rhymes with moronic diarrhea. Where you going?
I gotta go.
Yeah.
The guy drove me home.
Yeah. If you tell somebody I have a big problem involving diarrhea, one thing they rarely say to you, get over here.
Yeah.
Diarrhea is like the panic button.
Yeah.
Is a great panic button
all
response.
Things end with that word.
Yeah. No one wants to be with you,
you
talk
can get out
to
of
you.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, a christening.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
I'm waiting for some presidential candidate in the middle of a debate. I have diarrhea. You don't have to bother campaigning anymore. You're done.
My father had a much better word for it. He called it the green apple two-step.
Nice.
Which is like it's got a joke built in. It's sweet. It sounds nice. And people still go, wait, what is oh?
Oh, yeah.
You still get the same reaction. Like, I don't think I understand. Oh.
Yeah, much better than my dad's.
Yeah. And plus, nobody wants it from you.
Yeah,
everybody wants something from you. They don't want that.
Yeah, that would be a great self-defense course.
Yeah.
Give me a wallet or I'll kick the shit out of you. I have diarrhea. Get the Jesus. You're gone.
You're done.
Yeah.
Don't come in the house. Don't come in the neighborhood.
In fact, if we ever get in a world war again, we just have to spell out across the country. We have diarrhea. Just fly someplace else.
Yeah, please.
I don't want anything to do with them.
You never hear anyone say, I'm sorry they can't accept their award right now. They've got the green apple two-step.
Yeah.
They'll tell you they'll lie. They'll make anything up.
I caught some bad squash.
Yeah.
I can't come to the award ceremony today.
Yeah, exactly. Pumpkin soup.
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Romney, about capital gains tax? I would love to answer your question, but I've got some chili that I've got to contend with.
And people be like, what? Oh.
Oh, never mind.
That's the what oh in life.
Straight, you walk straight off the stage and into the history books.
You're done.
Presidential candidates must have constant bowel control.
It's absolutely true.
And that's what separates the men from the boys.
Yeah, clenching.
Another thing you can't do when you're getting sworn in, start shrieking, a bee, a bee. If you are the president of the United States and you're giving your acceptance speech and you see a bee, you fucking eat it. You sit there, you get stung in the eye. You can't start waving around, shrieking a bee, a bee.
Yeah, that's
Well, you got 4 long years up in front of you.
Maybe that would be like the thing that you should do. You get all the candidates that are left at the very end of it all. You put a bee in the room with them, and you watch how they react.
Yeah.
See who reacts. If nobody reacts, I'd be very surprised. Someone is going to take themselves right out of the race. It's like, okay, next week we've got 3 left.
That would save us like 11 debates. We have 5 presidential contenders for the GOP ticket. We are now putting them in this tank of mud wasps.
Yeah.
And you just see who stands still.
Who can run this country without fear?
Yeah. Let's see who can handle it and who completely waves them off.
Because
Gingrich is
he's gone.
Oh, because he looks like a hot buttered pie.
Yeah, I always mix him up with Rush Limbaugh. I thought it was the same guy for like 4 years.
They look so glowy and rosy and buttery.
And
a bee would go berserk.
Oh, he'd love it.
Yeah.
He'd go right into the fold of his skin and just camp out.
Yeah.
Build a cocoon, and bees don't do that.
No. I was going to ask you about immigration, but instead I'm going to slather you with A1 sauce and ask you to walk through this hyena pit at the zoo. Who walks and who runs?
It would be a lot more viewed than a debate.
Who walks and who runs?
If you want to talk about ratings, the networks would want to get a hold of this idea and go, oh, we got the bee in the room idea from the 2 guys from Boston. We're going to do it.
Yeah. We're going to give you an injection. We're not going to tell you what.
That's exactly it.
Who looks at you and doesn't blink?
I think that's a great idea. And the other thing is what if you gave everyone the same ailment as candidates, no matter what? Like, okay, you're all going to get allergies today.
Yeah.
Let's see how they deal with it. And they don't know, but we, the American people, know. That's funny. It's fun. And we get to see the way they deal with something that they don't know is coming, which is really what being a president is all about.
Exactly. That's how you get more people to watch the debate. Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, one of you has an axe, one of you has a bike chain. You have 11 minutes.
Nice. That's smart.
It's a democracy.
No, it's just, and also it's the way to get people to watch how they react under pressure.
Yeah, you have to get people involved in the electoral system, and if that means that both men are naked in a pond and there's a guy standing over the pond with a plugged-in lamp.
Yeah.
And who will stay in the water longer?
Yeah, you call it tear factor. If a president cries, he loses.
Yeah, any president cries, he's out.
He's done.
He's out.
You can't cry. Not until after it's over. Like once you've left office after 8 years. Now it's okay to cry and say, I love this country, or whatever you want to say.
It would be great if at the end of the term, by the way, I never knew what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
Most of my big decisions were made with a magic 8-ball. Which is why frequently I would come down on the side of ask again later.
Yeah, and that's right. Because remember, even Reagan was like trying to add a 3rd term.
Yeah.
You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
He was like that delusionary when he was like, well, what if we had a 3rd term? Like, well, no, you can't. It says right in the thing you can't. But after 8 years, you could say anything.
Yeah, you're so used to everything. You can call down to the basement of the White House and go, you know what I would really love right now is an ice cream and tuna fish sandwich on rye bread. Boom, 5 minutes later, they bring it.
You got it.
That gets into your mind.
You've been through something no one else has.
That gets into your mind.
Because no one's been through the same decade.
Yeah.
No matter who the president is, it just mounts and mounts and gets weirder and weirder. Jeez.
Eventually, it's going to be a big war between monkeys and robots, and we just sit back.
Yeah, and I'm going to root for the monkeys because they're more like me.
Yeah, of course. Although robots, you don't have to clean up after robots.
Yeah, robots are nice, but the thing is about them is I have this weird sense that they know they're smarter than me, and I don't care for that.
Yeah, they're haughty.
Yeah.
Robots can be haughty.
They start getting a little weird about how smart they are.
Yeah. President Obama, here's a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
You get a phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning and you find out that Syria has launched a preemptive military strike on Jerusalem.
Right.
Before you answer, we are going to drape a necklace full of live mice over your neck and release this hawk.
I think it's perfect because it adds that element of hypothetical. No, this part's real.
Yeah, but here's what I'm thinking. This is what would happen. That guy's so fucking lucky. The hawk comes down on him, grabs the mice, and just starts pecking at his face, completely pecks his face off. The hawk climbs away. He looks more like Seal than he ever did before, and now he's dating Heidi Klum.
Oh, that's nice.
That's that guy's luck.
Did he go out with Heidi Klum?
No, they were married.
I didn't know.
Something horrible happened to Seal, and his face got all chewed up. So much so that God said, you know what, you've had a tough break. You should bang Heidi Klum for a couple of years.
That's a deal.
Yeah, and then eventually she looked up one day and said, Jesus, this stuff isn't healing.
Oh, yeah. He might have said, I have cream for this. It's going to be gone in a month.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Oh, this is going to heal right up.
Oh,
5
don't worry
years,
about
6
Daly.
years, 7 years.
Yeah.
And now all these guys thinking they get a chance with Heidi Klum are gouging at their cheeks with salad forks.
I've never really listened to his music, but if he expressed himself well and he named himself after an animal, he might deserve it.
Well, that's how we would handle the presidential election. I'm Johnny Condon.
Yeah, I'm Robbie Sullivan.
Get the fuck out of here.
Please.
Political Talk with 2 guys from Boston.
Like, I worked at The Simpsons, and we often got people would send in drawings of Homer and Marge in flagrant delecti. And I've seen my share of X-rated Simpsons drawings that people would email to people, and some, like an animator would find it like on a crazy website and would say, look at this. I imagine that somewhere there's a great moments with Mr. Lincoln where he's just like, let me tell you about Mary Todd Lincoln in the sack. Right. Let me tell you stories of the Lincoln bedroom.
But there's a very famous, well, not how famous it is, but I think it was Wally Wood did a drawing of...
That's what I call my penis.
Basically, all the Disney characters fucking in various positions.
Oh, yeah, right,
And
sure.
it was-
Well, that's a great photo.
It sort of
Great
led
drawing,
to
rather.
led to Disney being so protective about their characters.
Oh, yeah. Now, how often do you go? He goes 6-7 times a year.
I go like once a week.
Oh, nice.
Once a week?
Yes.
Not recently.
I was there for my audition.
What was your audition?
To be the character Merida from Brave, but I'm not youthful enough.
So now Brave
Well, but
is
she's like 14,
Brave is the one
15.
that hasn't come out yet.
Yes.
Right. This is the Princess Fairy Tale movie, correct?
Yes.
I have a friend who works at Pixar. I've known about
okay.
this movie for quite a while. What's a shift?
I think they have a meet and greet with Rapunzel right now, and it's like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., I think. So
But how long are you out there with the kids?
I think 8 hours with just 20-minute breaks or something.
I know, right?
That's really patient.
But that's also not a fully costumed character, so
Right.
they get
You
a
can't be
lot
out
more
there in a day.
breaks and
Yeah, what's Goofy? How long is Goofy out there?
15 minutes at a time.
I think it's like 15 minutes at a time, and they bring him back for a break. They take the head off and all that stuff, and then they send him back out again.
Wow.
The thing I noticed with my nieces, because they watch almost exclusively the Disney Channel.
Sure.
So now when they go to Disneyland, the older one complains because she walks through the whole time going, Where's
the Hannah Montana ride?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She'll ask where the High School Musical people are. They don't have it. And then she's just like, well, I don't care.
Speaking of movies with a crazy message, I was talking earlier about The Nightmare Before Christmas as a story is the world's dumbest story. Guy's in charge of Halloween, wants to be in charge of Christmas, does a terrible job, so he decides to go back to Halloween. Doesn't learn anything, nothing changes.
Right.
There's 18 ways you could make that story interesting. He
and nearly gets Santa killed.
Yeah,
in the process.
decides halfway through he wants to go back to Halloween when he realizes Christmas is wrong for him, but through a situation of circumstances is stuck and has to do a great Christmas or he'll never be allowed back into Halloween. And then things conspire to make Christmas terrible and he's fighting them. All these ways to make that movie an interesting story. They don't do any of it.
They don't even take a break like halfway through the movie to enjoy a nice Thanksgiving dinner. Which doesn't make any sense to me. Is that for the international audience, do you think?
I guess so. And the other one being the fact that Indiana Jones is completely superfluous to the plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark. The plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark is we have to keep the Ark away from the Nazis. He tries to stop them. He fails. The Nazis open the Ark defends itself and kills the Nazis. He has no place in the story.
None.
He's an annoyance. Same thing with the Hannah Montana movie, which I had to see because of my children. The whole point of the Hannah Montana movie is I'm not really Hannah Montana. I'm just plain old whatever the other character's name was.
Miley.
I guess it's Miley, yeah. So she's smiling. At the end of the movie, she goes, I can't be somebody I'm not. I'm just Miley. And this little girl goes, please be Hannah Montana. And she goes, okay. And the movie is Hannah Montana.
It's good enough
Never
for me.
be yourself.
Yeah. It's kind of like at the end of Planet of the Apes. It's Earth. And then an ape comes up. Oh, another planet might have had this statue too. You're right. Phew. I guess Earth is great. For people that don't know, Hollywood Boulevard, there's a lot of people that just walk around dressed like Superman or Batman or whatever.
Charlie Chaplin's the
Charlie
saddest
Chaplin is a
for
big
me.
one. Yeah, and my favorite thing is the surly Russian Supergirl who's out in front of the Chinese. Literally, take a photo with Supergirl. Do you want photo with Supergirl? And it's just a lot of people on buses getting photos, and it's just like a lot of it's underfed homeless Superman is one of the famous characters.
Well, since the manufacturing base has gone from this country, it's mostly workers from Middle America now playing Chaplin. How you doing? Just twirling a cane.
This speech again.
Yeah. Well, I'm just here to represent the effortless, timeless joy of silent comedy. I was an auto worker. I used to install the front ends of Plymouths. Well, I get them all plumb and get them down the line, and now what I'm doing is boiling a shoe and eating it for comedic effect in front of the Kodak Theater. Suzanne Flechette was down here the other day. I thought it was Suzanne Flechette. It was a very sick tranny.
Here comes my friend, the Green Man. I don't know what they call Shrek. That's right, Shrek.
I don't know if it's Shrek or the Hulk, but I can't stand that asshole. That would be my dad if he worked in Hollywood Boulevard. Oh, that asshole. Here comes the Hulk. Jesus Christ.
My favorite guy, this is a real guy. There is a little person, Mr. T, who is there.
Is there?
Yeah, and he looks kind of like Mr. T, except a very, very little person. And he just walks
He looks
around.
like Mr. T 60 yards away.
Exactly. Through the wrong end of a binocular. And he just walks around saying the word fool. He doesn't even say. He doesn't even. I pity the fool. It's just the shortened version.
Fool?
Yep, fool.
Everything's short. The dialogue, everything.
Yeah, it's just fool.
Yeah.
Just can't bring himself to get out the whole sentence.
Well, no, that's a real pro as a character. You whittle it down.
Well, you get
to
it.
its essence.
Yeah, you make it your own.
If you don't get it, you don't deserve a photo.
Exactly. This guy knows that saying "pity the fool" will just drain him by
it
6
demeans
o'clock.
him. It demeans him. Yeah.
Demeans him.
Yeah.
If I say pity the fool, it demeans both of us.
I got better things to do.
I always am amazed at people that come to Hollywood and they go to Hollywood Boulevard and it's just skis.
I had to be there the other
smell
day.
the smell of urine and loneliness.
Yeah, I was there for the Film Noir Festival. They're doing it this month
At the Egyptian?
Yeah,
Sure.
Braggart.
And I had a little meal at Frank
Musso and Frank's?
Musso and Frank's, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to eat there a lot when I was friends with Mila Nurmi, who the world knows as Vampira. I used to take her to Musso and Frank's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's where she used to go in the 50s. And it's so funny. She'd get the same thing every time. Scrambled eggs, coffee.
Is that right?
Yeah, we go for dinner, 7 o'clock at night. What do you want? Scrambled eggs, coffee. But a lot of that stuff, it's an old school menu. It's like,
It's old
I don't
school.
want any brains on anything. Or it's like cupcakes and sauerkraut. It's just
Yes.
these weird combinations of food.
Jello with carrots.
Now, have you ever heard of this? I have a very good friend. He is phobic of underwater robotics. The concept of robots operating underwater, unless he is pulling my leg, and I really don't think he is.
No, that sounds right.
Yeah, gives him the hink. Like the Jungle Cruise. The idea that he's on a boat and there are robots.
Submerged robots,
Submerged, and they're going to rise freaks him out so much that he didn't feel comfortable in the hotel because he was so close to them. I think that was probably the joke.
Oh, okay.
But we were on what used to be the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride, and now is the Nemo ride.
Yeah, a horrible ride.
Yeah, as fun as a dental scaling.
Yes.
And I took a photo of one of the fish underwater. It was clearly a robot, and I just texted it back to him, thinking of you. And his response was, "You are a monster."
We recently discovered a thing that we didn't know about at Disneyland, which is the Asimo Robot Show.
Oh, yeah, I was just telling you about this.
It was fucking terrifying.
Yes.
You're sitting in an audience, and this bad actor is going through his routine. Here I am in my house, and hey, Asimo, come bring me the paper.
Yes.
And a fucking robot walks in the door, completely independent of any. It scared the hell out of me.
But the robot moved because all of the technology in Innovations, which is where this is, which is the former America Sings, which was formerly called
Carousel of Progress.
Thank you, Carousel of Progress. Thing is
That really
outdated.
sounds like a sex move. I did a Carousel of Progress, and then I had to call it a night.
Everything is so outdated. They've got they have the section where you can play with the Zune music players, right?
And
then,
Xboxes and-
right, and then Asimo
Pong.
Asimo takes the paper, and by the time Asimo has delivered the paper to the guy, the new paper is already out. Like it's already a day old. And then the Asimo climbs the 3 stairs,
Yep.
and it's 20 minutes later. Climbs back down the 3. It takes forever.
But just the idea that it's not attached to anything.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else in Disneyland is. Lincoln's got his feet planted in the ground and whatnot.
Right.
This thing is just freely walking
Really
around.
walking and terrifying.
And it's
It
really
is terrifying.
scary. I've never seen a robot before. And seeing one in
Yeah, and
real
it's a
life
real
is
robot.
just scary and weird.
Terrifying and useless at the same time. It's like trying to outrun zombies because they move so slow.
Right.
Yeah, it's
like that.
slow.
It's even slower than zombies.
What was the fun shit that you used to do when you were a kid if you didn't get to go to amusement parks?
So have you guys ever heard of Ring Alivio?
No.
It's so 2 groups of teenagers, for me it was teenagers, form a chain, and you're opposite each other. You grab arms and they go something like, Ring Olivia, we call, it's supposed to rhyme, so I'm fucking this up. We call Eddie over, and you have to run like a motherfucker and try to break that chain. And it would usually end up in a fight. Like,
We had that game. It was called Red Rover.
oh, maybe I'm thinking of Red Rover.
Well,
Red Rover, Red
Ringalinga.
Rover, send Kevin right over.
That's
and
right.
then my brother would run, and we'd have to break the chain, and it would get into a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd often get into a fight.
because you'd like elbow a kid, and he'd be like, "You fucking," and then
We had a game called Dirty Pinky.
Dirty. Is this
It
the
also
Japan-
starts with two groups of teenagers.
It was.
Is this a Japanese?
It was invented in Japan.
3-inch Japanese elfin woman with no pubic hair.
All I'm telling you is that you can get it in a vending machine in Japan now. But in any case,
What?
So what it was that you would have like a rubber, like hand baseball, like a little rubber ball, and you would hit it, and there'd be a bunch of kids waiting to try to catch it, and then the kid who caught it, you would try to kick the shit out of him and get the ball from him.
Like
and then
life.
you would run. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was a basic primer for life.
It's kind of rugby almost.
Yeah. But the real point of the game was just inflicting as much damage on that kid as you could.
Yes,
Get out
a
all
lot
your
of the games
frustrations.
when I was a kid in Brooklyn were like that too. A lot of inflicting damage with rules around.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hear of Ropey? Did you guys ever play Ropey?
Ropey?
Oh, what's that?
Ropey was a
That
thing.
is the end of Stink Pinky.
That's if you have had a successful Stinky
Yeah,
Pinky.
that's the natural end result of a game of Stink Pinky.
Ropey was the name of a very famous mule at a circus.
That was stared at by two Boston kids.
Yes.
Ropey-
Ropey was a character originally intended for Disneyland, but the original drawings looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on a very hot day, and he was instantly rejected.
Ropey is the name of the guy in the goofy suit who likes to hammer his
Yeah.
own penis to feel. Call back.
I'm going to bite off my thumb today just to feel something.
Ropey was this dumb game that was best suited for the winter, but you would get two sets of kids on opposite sides of a residential street, and you would sit there and pretend like you were pulling a rope that wasn't there. And when cars would drive up, you would really strain to pull the rope, so you'd see if they would slow down because they didn't want to hit their windshield, hit the rope. And then as they got closer and realized there was no rope, you would usually yell, "Fuck off" or "idiot," and then they would just drive away shaking their fist. And we would do this in the winter because it was theoretically harder to see, and you play at night. And one night we were playing Ropey, and we were just sitting there laughing because all these cars were doing this. And one car just came to a dead stop, and we were like, wow, that is amazing. And then a guy got out with an axe.
And those are the guys who are priceless, as they say in the Visa commercial.
I was playing with my brother, and he started to chase us. And for a second, my brother and I looked at each other like, don't drop the rope. Lighter fluid was big when I was in junior high. There was a guy named Gary Grodzak who kept telling a girl he was going to show up and spit fire at her. So he showed up one day and took lighter fluid and put it in his mouth and had a Bic lighter and held it up and spit at her, and it basically exploded in front of his face.
It did it, yeah, it didn't work?
Well, it worked by lighting his face on fire. But he did spit it, so he was successful.
Did he get messed up?
Oh, yeah. There was a giant fireball because when you're spitting, even the greatest spitter in the world can't do an accurate thing. And he just...
If I saw him today, would he still be kind of burned?
Possibly.
But what's amazing is I just like...
Are you Gary Groznik? I just heard a story.
Just knowing a
On
kid...
podcast.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. Knowing a kid, it's kind of like...
I burn you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Gary Groznik.
Yeah, he's Red Skull at Captain America Land. But for a kid, like, what did you do? You set your face up. The truth is, I was trying to impress a girl. Like that's if you liked a girl and you were 12, that makes perfect sense. I'll just spit fire at you.
Hey, doll. Yeah, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You want to see me light my face on fire?
Yeah.
Still does it.
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Doctor, when you put the skin back on my face, put it on so I look like Robert Redford.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Every scar is a love letter.
Yeah.
My face tells a story.
You are going to look like a skull that somebody rubbed silly putty on.
All right, I got to put my face on. Honey, I'm just going to go to the bathroom, put my face on.
Why do you say that, Al, to torture me?
Wait, Al's back together with his wife?
Well, that would be great. You go to Disneyland, and at the end of the day, like Mickey Mouse, and they all take off their masks, and it's like Beneath the Planet of the Apes when they take off the masks, there's these hideous scars. They like,
We reveal ourselves unto our God.
and they all have the. Oh, that was a really good day today.
Yep, I really enjoyed those Girl Scouts. They were wonderful,
But they're just hideous, mangled skull faces.
And the bomb is inside the castle.
I have such deep love for Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and that by the end of that movie, it's like, where am I again? It's simple. It's the future. Apes have taken over the Earth. These two separate teams of astronauts who have gone through a time portal are trying to disrupt the war between the apes and the telepathic mutants. Are you with me so far? Because now it's going to get complicated.
Here's where it gets weird.
Is that right? Is it that? I don't remember
that movie
that.
That movie is fucking crazy.
That's just the setup.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I showed my daughters the original Planet of the Apes not too long ago, and as the ship was sinking in the lake, my 7-year-old went, "Daddy, their clothes are in there." That's what she was really upset about. But that was one of the things that we did in my childhood that I loved was we went to the drive-in all the time.
Oh, they were cool.
That's
right.
Never went to
I
the drive-in.
forgot
That's
about the
great.
drive-in.
The drive-in that
I love the drive-in. Yeah,
the drive-in that I went to growing up and worked at in high school is not only still going, it's actually nicer than it was when I was in high school.
Oh, that's so cool.
The Mendon Twin on Route 16 in Mendon, Massachusetts. And we went back there, and I haven't been there in so long. And to go into that snack bar was the closest I will ever experience, like, time travel.
Yeah. Wow.
Because it was not only exactly like it was in 1981 when I worked there, but it was pristine. Because
great.
they'd kept it
That
up,
is great,
but they
yeah.
hadn't updated it. And it was literally like a time warp. And I wasn't in the drive-in snack bar museum. I was getting food there. It was insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
that's like
great.
every time I drive down, like when you're in Anaheim, there's like I think it's either Beach or Ball, one of those streets. But there's like that little strip that has like most of the motels still have like their theme going. Because when I went to Disneyland for the first time, I mean, before I even got to Disneyland, it was like a wonderland for me because it was like there's the Solar Motel and it had like a geodesic dome and like a rocket. And
They're all trying to make you think that they're actually a part of the
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I see.
Yeah.
Mickey's Motel, and
Yeah.
it's Mickey Cohen.
And I was like,
what do you want, girls' cards? What do you like?
Look, we got a slide that goes into the pool, right? Come on, that's cool.
Wait a minute,
When
I
do you
got to
see
beat
that?
some sense into some fucking room 210.
I always think when you drive by a carnival, it's after hours, and it's just like somewhere there's like clown jism, like a clown's getting laid or masturbating,
Guaranteed.
But somewhere there's clown jizz, and I wonder if it looks like a couple of like uninflated balloons, like it's a couple colors.
Wasn't Somewhere There's Clown Jizz a Herb Alpert song?
It dries into confetti. That's what a lot of people don't realize.
The Chinese use it as an herb to heal the lower back.
I think we know how to fix your back.
No, Mr. Gordetsky.
Oh, hello. I'm here for some clownges. Are you the existential Goofy? Yep.
Mr. Pepitone, Jajo, the Prince of Clowns, will now come and masturbate on your back.
But you don't understand. I am Gajo.
Smiley's going to stand over you. You will hear a weird noise, but you'll feel much better.
Jajo needs some help. Could you please tell Jajo an erotic story starring Jajo?
Starring Jajo.
And a small car.
He is going to walk on your back. It's only going to be a couple steps because he has very big feet.
They may honk when he walks on your back.
All right, Jajo. We're on a train. And you're a clown I've never met.
Is that the guy's back I got to work on? Yes, Jojo, that's him. All right.
He's like a Yakuza.
Yeah. Is it the man on the table? Jajo will now start to feel very erotic. Jajo will allow sensual feelings to flood into Jajo's symptom. And then, when Jajo achieve a rapturously fulfilling orgasm, the wisdom of Jajo will heal man's back.
Jojo has trouble gripping his right hand due to missing fingers from infraction against the Yakuza. Jojo may promise, Jojo keep promise.
John Ross, our friend from San Francisco, the very funny comedian John Ross, used to do this funny impression of Yakuza businessmen stranded at San Francisco airport, trying to pick up women in the bars, but they only know a couple of like pop culture American phrases. So they're at the bar and they're trying to speak English to pick up these girls, but they're just like,
A freakazoid robot. A reporter to dance floor. All a freakazoid a reporter.
Say more. Say more.
You know, I know how to drown every mammal.
What room? What room are you in?
Suddenly my back feels better.
Do you know Jajo?
Jajo, the clown that's in the Yakuza, who will masturbate on your back if you have a problem. Let's end it there.
Can't top that.
Ultraman, here he comes
This has been the Dana Gould Hour, brought to you by the Internet. Music by Andy Paley, with Jake Posner behind the board. Engineering by Brent Butler. Internet junk by Spencer Hunt and Segan Friend. Sound editing, effects, and everything else by Jolinda Palmer. Hey, if you like the show, why don't you drop us a line at show@danagould.com. Tom Kenny speaking.
I am nuts about fish kebabs. Just warning you.